miracles. Not magic. Magic has a bad connotation.
We
trying
don't
to
believe
hide
in
things.
you don't believe in the spirit or the soul? That's what animates people, is your spirit or your soul. That's
No.
have you ever seen someone die? When they die, their spirit leaves.
Their soul leaves, no question. So in
There's
fact,
no question to you about
no
that.
question.
There's no question to you that there is some animating life force within us that leaves when you're dead.
Yes, in fact, I refer to the soul. This obviously is certain. The questions in the past, even
Because
during
people would normally think you were soulless. So,
Thank you.
But have you talk about you actually believe in it, and have done some thinking about it is pretty shocking in its own right, isn't it?
Well, again, mathematics. Leibniz thought.
We know Newton was at Cambridge, and he was the head of the math department, right? He's a professor, essentially.
Yes.
But Leibniz, was Leibniz a German professor?
Yes, but what Leibniz said is the soul is so strange because God took chemicals, which is simply the material, like tables, and he somehow made this material able to have a thought. How strange is that? Not only does it have a soul, but some way it was put together that this material substance is able to think. So when you say to me, it's obvious to everyone that there's such a thing as a soul. Now, if you're part of the Charlatanville, you'll try to explain it to people. The soul I describe as the dark matter of the brain. Why is it dark matter? Because in high energy physics nowadays you hear terms of dark matter, dark energy. Again, terminology. It's a complicated term. Why is it dark matter? Because we can't see it. That's all. What do you mean you can't see it? Well, somehow we see something moving towards this area of darkness. I can see this thing. This appears to me to be empty. It's just black. But I see it being drawn this way. So I say, well, I know if this were matter, that would follow that equation. If this was solid, it would explain the way this particle moves. But I can't see anything here. So I'll just call it dark matter. And I'll say, I don't know what it is, but it behaves as if there was something there. The soul is obvious to everyone that there's something different between things that are alive and things that are not alive. But we have no idea what it is. It's currently unexplainable. I believe we need an entirely different system of analysis to try to figure out.
But
Sorry.
No. With Newton, with all his chemical studies and things he worked on the spiritual side, Leibniz had just talked about the soul, Schroeder talked about what is life. If a modern scientist or someone that you funded at MIT or Harvard or one of these things talked in those types of terms, they would be considered to be a wingnut today, wouldn't they? They would not be on the path for tenure, right?
Unless they were in the philosophy department.
This is exactly my point. We're talking about three of the greatest mathematicians in mankind's history that have really changed mankind. Talking like this, what happened? How do we get to a situation where they could not be in the high physics, they could not be in the mathematics department or working in high energy physics?
Good, it's an easy answer. Newton was a combination of mathematician or geometer then and philosopher. And as time went on, those disciplines seemed to move apart. We had philosophy. Some of the philosophers can't do math, and some of the mathematicians. And again, mathematicians often break into two categories. People that solve problems. Those are more like geometers in the old days, just problem solvers. And then there's thinkers, theoreticians. They're more like the old movement towards philosophy. But neither one of those two groups have been able to figure out why something is alive as opposed to something that's not alive. No one's been able to describe what the soul is, but we all know it exists.